It's Luke and Naomi.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Happy episode 36.
36 already.
Happy Monday.
Yeah,
It's a Monday for us.
it is a Monday.
Been a Monday for you.
It has been.
As you, Naomi broadcasting live, recorded from the blanket.
That's right. I am wrapped up in
She's
a blanket.
90% blanket right now.
I'm all cozy because it's probably like 2 degrees cooler in this room than it is in the front room. So
Absolutely beautiful outside and everything. No reason to be cold. I don't know why this room's cold, but
it is. So
it's chilly. I wouldn't go cold. Anyway, happy episode 36.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we made it. Yay. Survived the weekend. Survived another week, you know.
Yeah.
It's always positive.
Yeah, not sick, not on vacation, didn't have to skip a week. You know, we've got a couple of good weeks we've strung together here
I
now.
know.
You know?
Look at us go.
That's right. We got the review of the Green Mile coming up.
We finally watched
in a
that
little
one.
bit. Yeah. I took the time this weekend and I would say had some fun with that, but it's the Green Mile, so you know. All right, so Friday night had some beer club fun.
That's right. Love Beer Club.
Love beer club. Did you have anything that you remember that sticks out?
Not really.
Not really?
No, because I usually find a whole bunch of things that I'm like, this is better than I thought. Like there was a key lime mango cheesecake sour beer.
That was good.
Yeah.
I'm not a big sour person, but that one I enjoyed.
But I'd never buy it because it says cheesecake on there, and I'm not a fan of cheesecake. But I thought it was really good. And then there was, oh my gosh, I don't remember the aged one. It was from like 2020, and it was like a barrel-aged stout or something. I don't remember. I just remember it tasted
Was it
like,
this one, you think?
Yes, it
It's
was that one.
Abraxas.
Yeah, so that one tasted like 60% cocoa, but light and airy.
Oh,
So
it's
it wasn't
really
like
good.
a thick beer that like sits in your stomach and you feel like you drank liquid chocolate. But it did have a lot of like chocolate flavor to it. It was really good.
Very good. That was the one that stuck out for me too.
Yeah, well, that helps that it was like 13% or something. I poured a little glass of that, and I was like, I'm gonna just sip on this. And then there was a little bit more left, so I'm like, I guess I'll sip on another glass of this.
That's right. If you were listening, I don't know if we've ever talked about beer club before or not. It's kind of registering to me. We're in a beer club we do once a month,
Yeah.
and we all bring interesting craft beers, something different, something that
you
we
want to
like.
share, want to try, or you want to share with people that you know.
Yeah,
Just whatever sparks your fancy that week.
yeah, and it's fantastic. So that's where the Abraxas came in. Where I've never even heard of that.
Me either.
First of all. And met some new people. Shout out
That's
to
right.
John and Kelly. It was fun meeting them at our beer club. That's another thing, too. We've met so many really cool people through our beer club, so we have some fun with that. That was Friday night.
Yes.
And Saturday night, I had a big work event with one of my stations, Modern Rock 98.7 here, where we celebrated the morning show host's 5th anniversary,
Which is really cool.
which is awesome. And
Yeah.
we played this game show he came up with, which was just really, really super fun. Naomi got into it. Everybody got into it.
I got way into it.
It was a lot of fun. It was called, he went with Last Prize Standing.
Yes.
And what we did was we came up with 30 prizes worth about $1,000 or so, and had 31 prizes and 30 contestants. And each contestant removed a prize off the board. Some were goofy, some were really cool that you would want, some were in the middle.
There was a huge argument about a 72-pound wheel of cheese.
That was the best part.
That caused just again so many arguments. I ended up asking some of my coworkers
It was
because
so much fun.
a 72-pound wheel of cheese I think is a bad prize. It'd be one of the first things I took off the board. But everyone I talked to was like, no, that's a good prize. You know what you could do and all this and whatever. A bunch of lame excuses because it's not a good prize.
Yeah, I mean, people were talking about like one meal in this thing.
72 pounds of cheese, though.
Did we Parmesan cheese? I don't know if
Yeah.
we mentioned that. Did you say that? Yes. No.
So
That was just one of the prizes. There was $1,000 worth of meat. There was.
That's a great prize, I think.
I think that was, like I said, one of the, sort of in between prizes. There was, a PlayStation 5 plus a couple of games, enough to get you closer to $1,000.
There was $1,000 to a dollar store.
That was, hilarious.
Yeah,
Loved
absolutely.
that one. Tons of. I mean, we could sit here and go through all of them, but the ones that stuck out were definitely the wheel of cheese, and $1,000 of fried chicken.
Yeah.
And so it came down to the end. We had one prize left on the board. The 30 that were eliminated left us with $500 to Instacart, $500 to DoorDash.
Yeah, something like that.
And, we picked a person out of the people who were eliminating prizes throughout. And that one person won the last prize standing, right? So the girl gets up there, and last second wrinkle that Randy decided to add was an envelope with a random number that nobody knew.
Yep.
And you and I beforehand got together, and you helped me randomize all the prizes and assign a number.
Yep.
Well, he gave her the choice. Do you want the random number? We have no idea what's in this envelope.
Nobody has any idea.
You can take the prize that was left on the board, the Instacart and DoorDash.
Yep.
Or you can go for a random other $1,000 prize. It could be any one of those that was on the board.
It could have been the wheel of cheese.
It could have been a tattoo of our choice.
That's right.
Which was on the board.
She didn't win that one. That would have been hilarious.
That would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
But instead, the prize she won was $1,000 of fried chicken.
Yeah, she took the envelope and got $1,000 worth of fried chicken out of the deal.
And that's, I think, the most amazing way that could have ever gone down.
The best part is when she took the envelope, the crowd started going, cheese, 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 because everyone wanted her to win the 72-pound wheel of cheese.
Yeah, so that was our Saturday, but that wasn't even our Saturday night.
No, that was just a little piece of it.
Afterwards, there was a free comedy show there with 3.5 comedians, because, the host, that was Randy. He was the host, and he did like a little bit, and then the other three, and they're all local people.
Yeah.
Or fairly local. So the one that stuck out to me the most was J.D. Scranton. If you ever hear that name, and he's doing a stand-up anywhere around, he was fantastic.
Yeah. I also, the girl that performed, her name was Chelsea, and she was phenomenal, because I know a lot of times when it comes to, like, girl comics, they'll rely a lot on vulgar things just because.
Oh, they can, yeah.
Yeah. She didn't. I mean, she had, like, a joke or two here, but it really wasn't, like, bad or anything.
Yeah.
She was just funny.
Yeah,
she was very creative.
All three of the comics have great sets.
Jokes
Jokes that you and I were repeating to each other the next day. That's how you know that you really liked it.
You know it's good when you keep repeating the jokes afterwards.
So that was a lot of fun. That was our weekend. And, of course, with all that going on Friday and Saturday, we didn't do anything on Sunday, which was glorious.
Absolutely. Much needed. Some time just resting and recuperating on the couch.
Yeah, we got a good nap in and right before bed, too.
Yeah, and then I still was tired this morning. Luke's like, maybe you slept too much. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you, I actually need more sleep. I need to recuperate. That's
there you
all.
go.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's about our weekend. And, on Sunday we watched The Green Mile, like we said, so we'll get to that review in a couple of minutes. Got to get to some random facts. Your weekly dose of Did You Know? It is President's Day, so I have a list of presidential-themed random facts. Did you know George Washington grew cannabis sativa on his plantation? That's
Did not know that, but okay.
the full-on wacky tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
And Thomas Jefferson came up with new ways of threshing that, which they cultivated for hemp.
That I think I did know, because I've heard stuff about Thomas Jefferson and hemp and all that before.
I've seen that stamp on the dollar bills where it's like puts the word bubble on George Washington's face that says, "I grew hemp."
Oh, I have not seen that.
Oh, you've never gotten a dollar bill in circulation that's was stamped like that? No, kidding.
I have not.
Yeah, so that's that. But I always thought it was, BS a little bit. So yeah, all right, I guess that's true. Did you know Abraham Lincoln became a lawyer without going to law school?
Did not know that.
He studied on his own and then passed the Illinois bar exam.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was 18 something.
Well, I mean, they still had some laws, so
yeah,
not
all
as
three of
many
them.
and crazy as they do now.
Yeah. Did you know George Washington's hair isn't a wig?
No.
His hair was all natural and most likely red and not white.
Until he got older. And it probably turned all white.
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you know Lincoln, again, the first president to be born outside the original 13 colonies?
Okay, I didn't know that. I guess I never really thought about it.
He was born in Kentucky, if you don't know.
Isn't it Illinois?
No, he grew up in Illinois. But he was born in Kentucky. Unless this is completely wrong, and I'm just reading a bunch
I thought
of
Illinois,
horse
because
cheese.
land of Lincoln, right?
Yeah, well, he grew up
Whatever.
there, and
his log cabin and all that. Wasn't he born in that log cabin?
he eventually
Who knows?
ruled there or whatever.
That's right. He ruled there. Yes. They gave him a crown and everything.
And finally, did you know the only president who was a licensed bartender?
No idea.
Abraham Lincoln.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently he co-owned a bar in Illinois before he became a lawyer. Should have just stuck with that.
Probably paid better.
Honest Abe the bartender.
That's right.
We've been a lot better off. All right,
He
those
can
were
give you some good advice, while he's wiping off the counter.
boring and terrible. So let's do some different ones.
Okay, I'm here for it.
Did you know Ty Warner, the guy who created Beanie Babies, only got into the toy business after his acting career failed?
Huh. Is that why it says TY on all those Beanie Babies?
Yeah, that's his name.
Huh.
Ty Warner.
Yeah, the little tag.
Uh-huh.
I thought it stood for something.
Ty's Beanie Babies.
All right. Today I learned. I find that more interesting than his whole acting career that never took off.
Did you know the guy who created Beanie Babies is named Ty Warner?
I had no idea.
Did you know that Kenny Loggins found a way to fit the iconic Caddyshack line, "Be the Ball," into both Caddyshack themes he did for the original in 1980 and for the bad sequel in 88?
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know, and so I'm going to have to go back and look for that.
I guess.
I got to see what exactly where, because that doesn't seem to... Anyway, moving on. Did you know there's that no one's exactly sure what place in New Orleans was the inspiration for House of the Rising Sun? There are theories, you probably heard all over the place, that it's a hotel or a club or a restaurant or a brothel or a jail. Those are all of the stories that surround the House of the Rising Sun.
Okay.
Not to be confused with that shack outside LaGrange, the best little whorehouse in Texas. There's like a movie about it or some junk like that. I don't know.
All right. Way over my head.
Yeah, for sure.
There it goes.
Did you know Mel Brooks was a combat engineer? Do you know who Mel Brooks is?
He created funny things.
Yes, he's a comedy genius.
Yeah.
That's the best answer. That's
Yeah.
perfect. Did you know Mel Brooks was a combat engineer in World War II when he fought in the Battle of the Bulge?
No way.
Yeah, he got into comedy after he was discharged.
Crazy.
Crazy. And did you know that Ricky Gervais was in a new wave music group in the 1980s
I can see it, honestly. I can really see it.
called Siona Dancing? And they had an actual song called More to Lose, but it was only big in the Philippines.
I want to go find that. Listen to it.
So do I.
I'm just a little curious.
Ricky Gervais. That's funny.
He is just, he's a character all himself.
He really is.
Yep.
Okay. So before we get to our answers from last week, which were a ton of fun, this one hit me the other day. I was on the air here in town on Sunny 103.7 and was going through this list. And I was talking about it. I'm like, I got to tell Naomi about this. So I had to all right, times move fast, but tech moves faster. We always talk about some things that, what it would be fun is to have the little kids try to do the rotary phone.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've seen videos of that going on, and I think it's just super funny and a lot of fun to watch, because if you had stuck me in front of some old-timey tech that I didn't know how to use, I would have looked goofy too. So
yeah.
It's fun to watch, and pass that along. So there's a list here from... I don't know where it's from. But anyway, somebody did a poll on technology use, and 69% of Americans have never sent a telegram, right? That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right, the old school telegram stop.
Wait a minute. 69% of Americans have not sent one? So you're telling me 31% have?
No.
That's insane.
Listen, we're going to get into math here
Okay.
if we keep talking and trying to do numbers.
I'm just saying.
One answer was never heard of it or something like that.
Oh, okay,
or
good.
too young to answer or some junk like I don't
good.
just thinking no. But
31% of Americans sending a telegram. That would be shocking there.
yeah, so 5% claim they are, though, still sending telegrams. Stop.
Like, do they mean the messaging program?
Stop.
Telegram?
Yeah,
It's got to be.
Oh, no.
Like Slack.
No.
Telegram. Because there is
The
no
app?
way. Yes,
The
there is
Telegram
no
app?
way 5% of people are still sending telegrams.
Well, you still can send old school telegrams, but maybe that's what this says too. Maybe people got that mixed up because, no way.
No. That's a lie.
Just for fun, maybe
to see who else will answer.
Is it Civil War reenactors or something like that?
Maybe.
I can't imagine.
That's the only reason why I think that you would still send a telegram.
Because you're reenacting the Civil War.
Why else?
Yes, that's perfect.
Why else would you?
So that was fun, right? So we have, there's another list here.
Wait, if you're sending a telegram, that means you have to know Morse code. So maybe, I don't know. Never mind.
And we're talking.
Go on.
This is adults too. I like full-on adults.
Maybe there's a bunch of smartasses in this group,
Right? Whatever they're talking about, maybe 18, maybe 21, who knows? But at least they're not talking to 12-year-olds, right?
Yes.
So 11% of these adults who've answered the survey have never used a phone book.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Right? 15% of the people who answered said they still do.
I can see that too.
This must be like a broad spectrum survey where you just fill in that and then they take the percentages overall or something like
Of
that.
everything,
Because that's
yes.
how these percentages work out.
Yeah.
15% of adults in the survey say they never purchased a newspaper. And everybody wonders why the industry died.
Yeah, I was trying to think if I ever have. Yeah, I did a couple of times.
23% of people say they still do, though. 16% of adults say they never used a physical roadmap to get somewhere.
Oh, wow. Okay.
16%.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't really used a physical map actually driving around the road, have we? I mean...
We haven't, but you had to before.
I have.
Yes, you have in the past. We have not, no.
I have, but I haven't in a while, so I can see that, 20 years. It's been at least 20 years since I had to use... Right? Pretty close anyway.
Yeah.
Pretty close. Wow. Feeling old. Okay. Let's see here. 9% of adults have never owned a dictionary. I get that.
I feel like we always had one. Like
Right?
just one on a shelf somewhere.
There was always a dictionary around.
Yeah.
Chances are my dad stole one from the library at
That's
very
right.
least. You know what I mean? 48% of people say they still do.
Have a dictionary?
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
21% of the adults who responded to the survey said they have never typed on a typewriter.
Ooh, I have.
A typewriter. Clickety, clickety, clickety,
Yeah.
ding.
My mom had one. And it was the coolest thing. I loved using it, except for I hated that when you tried to backspace and then, keep putting the other letter back on. It didn't help.
Yeah.
Yeah. It did not work. And so I would end up making a mistake and just throwing it out and restarting.
So
I didn't like the way it looked.
I was right there when, the computers and the word processors like that became a thing. So I switched. I don't think I ever even used a typewriter to write a paper. Like it switched to computers right then and there. And then everybody was in that mad rush to jump on the technology and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but I have used a typewriter. 6% of people say they still type on a typewriter.
That's got to be for the fun of it.
Most likely. And the nostalgia and the,
And how loud it is when it clinks around and all that.
That too, for
Yes.
real.
I would get a typewriter right now just to be annoying.
type
Yes.
every single word you know.
That's right.
Monday. Anyway.
Yeah.
Let's see here. 15% of adults have never paid for something with a check.
Yikes.
Ever.
I used to write checks all the time.
42% still do because for some reason we're still requiring checks on some level. I think
Yes.
we should be able to move past that. At this point, we haven't yet. We,
I had to write a check the other day.
that's what...
I had to go to the bank
Yeah.
to get checks.
Hold on. Let me see if they'll, just kind of slide me a couple without having to pay for them.
Yeah.
10% of adults have never used a printer at home.
Okay, yeah, I guess I can see that.
At some point, we all just started printing shit at work.
Well, that was the easiest one.
Pretty
Use
much.
their ink, not
Yeah.
your own. I think that's why everyone got rid of the home
have it,
computer.
yeah.
Because it's what, $150 for some ink cartridges?
Yeah,
And
nobody-
then you run out of blue and it still won't print in black. No,
Exactly.
you need the blue. No, you freaking don't.
I'll print at work. It's not color. That's what... I know so many people are like, yeah, I got to print some stuff. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
You don't have a printer at home? No, not since I started working here. All right, let's see here. And seriously, I mean, it's been years. I had one at one point, a nice little, wireless setup and all that.
Yeah.
And then it went on the fritz, and I've just kept jobs where I could print stuff.
Remember when we lived in New Mexico and we were given a printer and then it just sat there because we never plugged it in and we're like,
Why did we take this?
why am I going to use this ink? Why am I going to spend money to buy more ink? I'm just going to print this at work. It's cool. It's fine.
Let's see here. So let's, what else can we indict ourselves with? 22%, 22% of adults have never played video games at an arcade. 11% still do. 16% of adults have never played music on a vinyl record player. 18% still do, and younger folks are into it too. That's kind of, vinyl's coming back and all that stuff. 6% of adults have never watched a DVD.
Wow.
That felt like getting punched in the mouth.
It did. I didn't like that. I remember when DVDs came out and it was such a big deal, and so we redid the whole VHS collection with the DVDs because this is the better way to go.
I was duped into that nonsense as well.
They tried to get us with Blu-ray again, but that one didn't work as well.
I started. 41% still watch DVDs. No, I count I'm sorry, but it's all DVDs. Like if it's a video disc.
Yeah.
So whatever. 14% of adults have never used a public payphone.
Wow.
I remember calling my parents. Like I'd go on vacation with my mom, calling my dad. Hey, made it safe, and just hang up. So he would get that.
I remember I would call my mom. I called her once from the, CALLATT?
Yes. All of those. We're going to have long distance ads on Facebook now after this.
I called her once from the public pool to let her know that I was ready for her to come pick me up. I was on the phone for less than a minute, and I think it was like $4 or $5.
Wow.
It was so insane.
Collect calls.
And so after that, I forgot. We just set up a time and just be ready at 5. I'll pick you up then.
Oh, you're going on vacation? Here's a calling card. Remember that?
Yikes, calling cards.
Used to give calling cards like gas cards.
Yep.
Oh, I could use that. I'm going on vacation next month.
So crazy.
For real.
Oh, the times have changed.
There's one. We should add that. How many people have, used a phone card, a calling card like that? Wow. Where were we here? Public payphone. 4% of people say they still do.
That's a lie.
They're all dope dealers.
Where are you going to find those public phones?
That's right.
They're nowhere to be found anymore. Nowhere.
Wow.
I purposely look for them, and I can't find them anywhere.
I remember being in the buildings where there was banks and banks and banks. You see movies that are from, the 90s and whatnot, and have the airports and stuff where there's the phone banks.
Yeah. We just watched Rain Man, and how many times he's stopping to use a payphone.
That was great. Yeah, he stopped in Tucumcari, New Mexico, and
there you go.
Next to just in the middle of nowhere, there's a payphone. Those people were making bank.
Oh, yeah.
18% of adults have never used dial-up internet.
Count yourself lucky.
Well,
those were
count
some
yourself
crazy days.
Lucky you're not part of the 5% who said on the survey they still do.
Whoever is doing that, please reach out to us. There is help that you can get.
Y'all get any more of them discs? I need them AOL minutes.
Yeah, the AOL ones that they'd send in the mail all the time. Oh, my gosh.
Dial-up internet. 18% of adults. That's pretty significant.
It is, because I feel like that was a rite of passage. Dial-up internet.
Oh, that noise.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's kind of cool for the youngins. They didn't have to. I kind of feel good for them. Good on you.
No, rite of passage. I'll just go outside the door and start screeching and making all those weird noises, and then somehow to try to kick you off the internet. We live there now. You can't even kick anyone off the internet.
How about rite of passage? 11% of adults have never owned a landline phone.
No.
So, how many kids have never had to stand in the kitchen or hope for the very long cord or the cordless phone, whatever.
Yep.
We didn't get a cordless phone until I was a senior in high school.
Yep. My family just got a new landline phone.
It just went back?
They went backwards, yeah. They got a landline phone.
Yeah, well, it works for them. It does.
I'm actually happy that they did get one. They live in the middle of nowhere. They need one of those. Cell phone service is spotty,
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't always count on technology.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so 11% of adults never owned a landline phone. 29% still do. So there you go.
Okay, see?
7% of adults have never sent a letter in the mail.
Wow. I still write my grandpa once in a while.
There you go. 55% said they still do. I only do because I actually physically send out some of our prizes at work.
Yeah. So you kind of have to.
So that's,
I do get confused on how many stamps I need, so I just make sure I got the forever stamp and just put one on there. This should make it there.
So, pretty crazy survey. It was a pretty large amount of people, too, to cover that whole thing and a wide-ranging
well, I'm glad it was
control group, I guess.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. you know.
Yeah, so just some weird stuff to think about, just how much that technology's changed over the years. I
And
had
then
to.
We all feel a little bit older now too.
Yeah. So misery loves company. That's probably why I had to do it. Because
yes.
like I said, a couple of those just punch you right in the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. All right. Going from that to crying. How about feeling sad about being old and to just straight up feeling sad?
Yeah, this is gonna be an emotional show, guys.
Emotional.
Yeah.
Hopefully you've gotten it all out as we made you think about it on the Facebook page.
That's right.
Pointing out that I'm sort of getting better at this. Like I think I did a couple of weeks where I put up the question fairly quickly, and then last week waited till Friday.
I think you're doing all right.
But we got hella response over the weekend, so maybe
Yeah.
that was a thing. Maybe we wait till Friday. I don't know, gang. We're working it all out. All right, let's see here. What do we got? We're talking about what movie moment always makes you cry.
Yeah, I think this is a good topic to do. I mean, again, we started doing the Under a Rock reviews, so, and we like talking about movies.
Absolutely.
So this is a good one.
Some of my favorite stuff. I love bringing you, into the world of knowing the movies that everybody knows.
It's nice to be a part of those conversations, because let me tell you, everybody talks about movies, and it'll even happen at work, where people are talking about, oh, so-and-so, who's in that one movie? Oh, I saw that one. He did this movie, too. And I'm standing there, but now, usually about 1 out of every 5 or 7 movies, I can go, oh, yeah, that one. I liked whatever part of the movie I liked. See, I'm starting to be a part of the conversation, so it's working out.
There you go.
Yeah.
Welcome to the world of movies.
Yeah.
So
It only took me, 30 plus years to get here, but it's cool. It's cool. It's fine.
Now, we'll start. I'm just going to go from the bottom up as it doesn't really matter. But Mark D, I don't know what he's saying. I don't know if he probably tried to do the voice talk, and he knows that it drives me crazy when he does that because it's always garbled and wrong. And so I don't know what he said. So get it together, Mark.
What does it look like, though?
It looks like I duddits.
No, yeah, I can't.
All right.
I can't decipher that one.
Okay.
It was worth a shot. Okay, what else we got?
Ernest. Old Yeller.
I have not seen that.
Yeah, we're not going to watch Old Yeller. You
Okay.
can read it if you'd like to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you know what happens at the end of
Oh,
Old
yeah.
Yeller.
Yes, I know what happens. I know all the details of what happens.
So,
thank you, cartoons and all that, for telling me what happens in that
thank you,
movie.
Pop Culture, for
Or that, that movie, so I didn't have to deal with it.
parodying that so many times that I know what happens at the end of Old Yeller.
That's right. And then I didn't have to cry for it, 'cause
That, Marley and Me, I will never watch Marley
you
and
have
Me.
not seen Marley and Me. Yeah, and
I
you
had
won't
a,
watch
I
it.
had a dog named Marley.
Yeah.
I absolutely will never, ever, ever, ever watch that movie.
When Luke told me that he had a dog named Marley, after one time trying to get him to watch Marley and Me, I was like, okay, nope, I completely understand. We are not watching that movie.
Yeah,
It's
I
so
mean-
heartbreaking.
She lived past the Marley and Me hype.
Yeah.
Because that happened. She was very, young at the time, but I was
Mm-hmm.
still like, I can't read the book. I'm not watching the movie
Nope.
at all. And,
That is a heartbreaking movie. It really is.
I mean, thank God that, I didn't lose her in the middle of all that. I would have
my
despised that movie,
Yeah.
at the time. Leave me
I can't
alone.
even imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, moving right along. This is off to a fantastically sad start. I love it.
Well, I mean, none of the answers are going to be happy.
We're just
These are
doused in-
sad movies and movies that make you cry.
Just doused in tears and
Yeah,
sadness.
it's fine. Cry it out. Cry it out, guys. It's cool.
Let the veil drop. Now, we also said last week that we were hoping to maybe gain some extra movies to add to our list of what Naomi needs to watch
Yeah.
after living under a rock her whole life. So,
Yeah.
have you seen The Neverending Story?
No, I have not.
Okay. One of the reasons that I haven't tried with you is the last time I tried to sit through that as a full-grown adult, I had a rough time. But
Why?
be-
Because it's bad?
it is.
Like,
and
it's cute for a kid, but after that, no?
I was shouted down by some grown-ass men that, like, I was wrong and you need to, you should get through that and stuff like that.
I don't know. Put it on the list.
So we will put The Neverending Story on the list. Our Tax in the Swamp and The Neverending Story is the moment from Snowman, which, because we're going to watch it,
Oh, I think I've seen
you
this.
probably have.
Yeah,
It
the
is-
horse gets stuck in the quicksand or something,
Yeah,
right?
and it is devastating, I mean, on so many levels. And then once you know more of the story and the
Then it
relationship,
gets even worse.
it's just, and watch as a kid too. I was fairly young for that. That was woof. All right. Let's see. Snowman says, "Oh, good spoiler here. I haven't seen Inside Out, but this is a couple years old, so I can't fault him." For that.
Yeah, you can't.
Apparently, Bing Bong sacrifices himself in Inside Out.
Aw. I do want to see that movie, though.
I do too.
Yeah.
I like the whole idea behind Inside Out.
Yeah, clever.
Yeah, for sure. I forget too that Snowman Jeremy and his wife are super Disney folk,
Oh, yeah, yes.
and so he's just claimed all the Disney movies basically.
All right. So
Apparently-
Lion King better be on there because, I mean, being a kid watching Mufasa die and little Simba scream, Dad! Dad, come on, get up. It's time to go home. Like, if you did not bawl at that and still to this day just cry so hard, I'm going to believe your heart is ice cold, you know? Just thinking about it makes me want to cry right now.
That is definitely
That
a
is,
rough
like,
one. Disney has almost a monopoly on
I think
that.
they do that on purpose, you know? I'm going to make you cry so hard you love this movie.
So let's see here. Snowman said a happy one mentioned a moment in Coco, which is another one that we're not just lining up to watch any movies, let alone all the Disney movies for kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah, but
one
there
day
is
we'll
a
get to
handful
Coco.
that I do want to see.
I've heard a couple of good things about that. But then he continues with the end of the opening scene in Up.
Okay.
As the couple grows older and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Sure, that's definitely one. Let's see here. Make sure Snowman didn't have all the rest of them. Cindy says Shirley Temple's little princess when she tells her wounded father, "But I am Sarah."
Oh my goodness, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know
that
is.
scene.
What a great explanation too, Cindy, because without ever seeing the movie, I am immediately, wounded.
Yes.
All right.
Might have to check that out.
Yeah.
For when you need a good cry,
We'll get to that eventually, for sure. Let's see here. Well, Brian, Big B, says the end of the Green Mile.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which...
I'll get to that in a few here.
That's right, which, we will get to.
Yeah.
For sure. And Snowman replied to the GIF that Brian shared. It said he asked for no hood because he's afraid of the dark.
I know.
Oh, man.
I'm just so glad. I was looking at Tom Hanks. I'm like, you better tell him that it's okay
All right.
to not put that hood on him.
We'll get to the review in a few minutes.
Man.
I should have saved that for the last comment. Let's see. Hannah says the Fox and the Hound, specifically when she leaves Todd in the forest. She says, I cry even just thinking about it.
Yes, because she abandons him.
Yeah, Fox and the Hound predating your Lion King, too, there, by the way.
Yeah, that was a rough movie, too.
Well, what can you do, man? Ugh.
No, not abandon him.
Let's see here. Brando's got a bunch of great ones, which are just funny because we told everybody, bonus points if you cry at weird parts of.
Yes, absolutely.
So he says the Motley Crue movie, it's a serious moment, but in a movie you wouldn't think of. The Motley Crue movie Dirt, when his daughter dies.
Aww,
So
yeah.
He says the movie Hardball, where G-Baby dies from a drive-by shooting, and Rogue One, at the end when the planet blows up. Nice pulls, Brando.
There
nice
you
pulls.
go. Yes,
For
yes.
sure. Let's see here. Dan says when Simba realized Mufasa's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dad.
Yeah, let's see
Dad.
here. Tracy says, P.S. I love you from beginning to end. That's another. I don't think we're ever really going to get to the classic rom-coms. If everybody wants us to, and, there's one that gets overwhelmingly, recommended or something, we will, but
Yeah.
I'm not sitting down and watching The Notebook. That's for damn sure.
That's okay. I watched it
You have seen
a
it
long
thank God.
time
Okay.
ago.
For some reason, I thought you hadn't.
Yeah, I have seen it. And again, it was a long time ago, and it was once, when it first came out. So I don't really remember a lot of it, but I don't care. I have no interest.
Nice. I don't care. Yeah. All right. What else we got here? El Wevo, the Devil's Rejects final roadblock scene. He says, I tear up every time.
I don't know what happens. I haven't seen that movie.
I can't imagine it's sad at all.
Knowing El Wevo, probably not. And I'm sorry if it is. We're not laughing at you. We just assume that, you're not going to give us a sad movie.
We just assume.
Or sad moment.
Can you blame us
Right.
if you don't know who El Wevo is? It was one of our star listeners in New Mexico.
Absolutely.
It was fantastic and a lot of fun and a fantastic sport, too.
He was the one who came up, or it was him who came up with the Christmas tree ring operation
That's
that we
right.
were going to do, because we found out that like places in New York City were selling Christmas trees for like $800, and we thought, let's go up to Ruidoso and just get a whole bunch of pine trees, and we can get them for like
Just
50
traffic them
bucks.
from New Mexico to New York.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Scam all the rich folk in Manhattan.
Oh yeah, that was the plan.
That was the plan. That was
Yeah.
El Weevo's idea. All right,
We
couple
almost
more.
got it off and running too.
Couple more here. Paul says, sad to admit it, but Spock dying at the end of Star Trek 2 always gets me.
It's not a sad one to admit. Anytime somebody's dying in a movie, it's sad.
Well, they build it all up too. It's Spock. You love Spock and all
Yeah.
that. And Leslie says, beaches and steel magnolias.
Okay. I know Steel Magnolias is supposed to be a very sad movie, so that.
Yeah, I got nothing. Either one of them. Beaches
I
is
don't know
like
anything
Barbara
about the
Streisand or
Beaches.
something like that, and I can tell you I only know anything about... Is it Bette Midler or Barbara Streisand? I don't know. But I can tell you I only know anything or could even guess those two because of Seinfeld. So there you go. I pull a lot of my knowledge from pop culture as well.
There you go. So I think for sad movie for me, like legit. Well, the two that come to my mind are both sad, but like I always feel like it's something different when it's a cartoon that makes you cry, especially as an adult, but it still happens.
Yeah.
The movie Bolt. Okay, so I love that movie. It is absolutely adorable. The dog thinks he's got superpowers because he's a movie star,
Yeah.
So he doesn't know
Yeah,
that he
that's a
doesn't
good one.
actually have powers. But anyways, he meets this like mangy cat kind of thing, and I don't know how it happened, I forget, but he's separated from his owner, and then meets this cat and all that, and they, bond together. At first they don't like each other and all that. It gets all cute. Well, then, what's the cat's name? Mittens or something. She just starts yelling at him about, then your owners abandon you. People don't love you. They don't. And all this stuff, and does this long monologue about it. And it is just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because she's talking about how her family, who loved her so much, moved and left her behind. And it's just like, it just kills me every time. Like, blubbering mess, like making noises as I'm crying because it's so sad. That one, I think that one's one of the ones that gets me the worst. The other movie that would always get me, and I'd actually turn it off as it got to the end of it.
All right.
I was a big fan of the movie Pay It Forward.
Okay.
And the kid's
Wow.
big idea was to pay it forward
Yeah.
instead of paying it back, and it was a school project and all of this kind of stuff. Well, spoiler alert, towards the end of the movie, he gets stabbed at school. And like, it's just the fact that it happened, and then like the doctor comes out to like talk to the mom, and she just loses it and like falls onto the ground, and you can just, it's absolute despair. And then there's a whole candle vigil and all of that, and it's just, I can't watch it. I cannot watch it. I'm turning that off. But yeah, so one serious one, and then always a cartoon. There's always going to be a cartoon
Always the
that gets me.
cartoons.
Yeah.
So I'm easy to get lost into a flick and tear up.
Oh, yeah.
I don't mind, especially if it's just us. I mean, I've been in the movie theater. I've teared up to the damn Avengers movies, when Captain
Yeah.
America finally retires and passes the torch on. And
Yes.
Tony
yes,
Stark.
You do.
And, I get into it, I've always been able to suspend reality and get lost in imagination, I guess.
You don't get lost in with like keys and things not making
Yes,
sense.
that's right.
And all
Not
that,
being able
yeah.
to use the keys doesn't occur to me and stop me from enjoying a damn movie. That's if you're new, that's Naomi's review of Terminator 2, or that's in Naomi's review of Terminator 2 a couple episodes back.
Yeah.
So, so that can happen fairly easy if I'm right into. I mean, I've got myself, just so into like the dumbest movies. I can't remember any right off. Cool Runnings. I'll get, but there's an emotional scene at the end there
Yeah.
when they all get up and stuff like that. I Am Legend. When he has to kill the dog.
Oh my gosh, I
because
forgot
she's
about
turning
that.
into a
Oh my
zombie
gosh,
like that.
That is so heartbreaking, and that's all he has left. Like that. Oh gosh, that's a killer. I
Yeah.
forgot about that.
Absolutely, for sure. Sports movies will get me too. Field of Dreams is a big one when he, has the catch with his dad at the end of the movie. That's a fantastic one. I mean, pretty much all of them.
There's a lot. I mean, if you really think about it, like movies that you actually get into, it's so easy to just let a few tears fall down. You know, it's going to happen.
With some really good
Great
suggestions,
answers.
some good answers. We'll catch a couple of these movies. I'm now watching The Devil's Rejects. I'm just not. I'm sorry,
I don't even. What is it about?
Yeah, good luck.
I'll have to like Google
I'd
it.
be afraid to even. We don't even have to deal with the FCC on a podcast. I'd be
Yeah.
afraid to read the synopsis on a podcast of The Devil's Rejects.
Huh.
All right, I don't know. What we got a couple of movies. We'll definitely add Neverending Story to our list too, guys. I feel like that is, an all-timer, one that, a lot of people have seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
So many. I did it again. I didn't get to Brian's answers. Brian from England emails because he doesn't do social media because he's a genius.
Yeah.
He says 2 movies. The What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams.
I don't know that one.
I don't know that one either because I knew it was a more serious movie and all that stuff, so I always avoided it. And then, Robin passed away, and it's hard to... All right. The other one is Hachi, A Dog's Tale. He says Richard Gere's in it. And he says the second one, him and Hazel were holding up real well. He says, but at the end, they both just lost it.
I don't know if I would trust that one.
I can't. I can't with the dogs. I just can't. I mean, I Am Legend. That movie I enjoy, except for that part. And like you said with Pay It Forward, you'll just turn it off at the end or before the end.
I don't need to see the ending. I don't need to see that emotion.
I have a hard time because of I know that scene's going to show up in the film, and I can't get. I just.
You gotta just speed past it. I will tell you when you can open your eyes again. Kind of like a scary movie, 3
minutes or something of the film. That's, yikes. Speaking of which, they are making a sequel to that. And it's based on the part of the movie that nobody ever saw. They had an alternate ending where he lived and left and escaped with the lady and the kid.
Okay.
And the second one's gonna be based on that. It's gonna be set, 10, 15 years later and stuff. If anybody's interested in I Am Legend sequels.
I feel like they don't need to do this.
They don't. But zombies are huge right now with the success of, The Last of Us and stuff like that. They're doing that.
I just don't think I'm interested in seeing that. I like the way the movie ended and all that stuff. It's good as it is. Don't fix what's not broken.
Yeah, for sure. So that is... Brian has another thing, too. He says he would love to know if you've ever seen Dogma.
I have.
So
I have
because
seen
he
Dogma.
feels that would be an interesting review, but she has seen Dogma. We're both up on a bunch of... She hasn't seen Mallrats?
No, I have not.
And I know for damn sure you haven't seen Chasing Amy, but that isn't as widespread a movie, I think, for us to review on Under a Rock Reviews until maybe we get down to the nitty-gritty. But we'll see.
Yeah.
You never know what the future holds.
That's right.
But, Brian, we are both Kevin Smith fans. She's definitely seen Dogma a whole bunch.
I'm trying to think of if, I just saw it for the first time, what thoughts would be running through my head. But it's really hard to say because I've seen that movie a bunch of times.
And that's again, there you go. Thank you again to Brian for pointing out why these Under a Rock reviews are so much fun. Speaking of which, all right.
Nice segue there. That was beautiful.
I like pretending that we heard that so much.
I know. Got to drop it in afterwards.
I do the jazz hands and everything.
Oh, yeah. It's a production back here.
All right. It is time, finally, for Naomi's Under a Rock review of The Green Mile. If you've never been with us for an Under a Rock review, Naomi always said when I first met her and was asking her if she's seen all these movies that pretty much everybody's seen, no, I grew up under a rock.
Yeah.
And so here we go with the Under a Rock reviews, her thoughts on movies that
everybody has seen. Yeah.
And her first time watching them now in 2023.
That's right. Better late than never,
So with The Green Mile, it took me forever to get to this one. Okay. I only watched this like a few years before we met. So we're talking 2010-ish. So I was super late to this one too because I knew it was a little bit longer and stuff like that.
It's really long.
So this was my second or third watch of it, and it had been an absolute while since I've seen it. So, while I knew what was coming and everything that happened and stuff, it was fun watching your reactions while I wasn't exactly sure when things were going to happen too.
Right.
So I'll shut up now and tell us what you thought about The Green Mile.
First of all, I got to say I'm really excited that we finally watched this. I have been meaning to watch this for a couple of episodes, But again, it's a long movie, and I knew it was something that I didn't want to start watching and be like, I can't finish this. We'll have to wait until tomorrow.
It is one of the first dramas you brought up that, you were kind of mentally preparing to get into, right?
Yes. That being said, those 3 hours went by very fast.
Yeah.
I did not feel like it was a long movie.
It is paced well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right, so I'm just reading this kind of off my notes. First thing I'm thinking is, man, when I get old, I hope I am as mobile as the guy in the beginning of the movie, washing his face, running off, walking up that crazy big hill, all that stuff. Come full circle to the ending, we find out why he is like that.
All right.
But that was my first thought in the movie. I'm like, okay, look at this guy. He seems to be living a good life. Happy, and, he's in this nursing home that actually looks nice and taking care of himself and fine. So we've mentioned this before in movies. I absolutely love it when we find out why it's called, why the movie title is what it is. And of course, they're working on Death Row.
You are an absolute, just the reason they made the joke. There's a joke in Family Guy. If you've never seen the show Family Guy or whatever, there's a quick joke where they make fun of Peter for every time they reveal the name of the movie within the movie.
Yes.
He just loses it in the
Yes.
theater. And that's exactly Naomi.
I am that person.
She's so giddy anytime they say the title of the movie, and especially if it fits real well. If they don't
loved
cram it in there,
Yes, I loved it for this one too. The last mile, because it's Death Row, the last mile of your life, basically. And, Tom Hanks is explaining that was called the Green Mile because of the flooring being green, the color of limes or whatever he says.
Faded limes.
Yeah. I love it. I thought it was cute. I like when they do that and throw that in there, and like you said, don't shove it in there. So
now I gotta ask while we're on that. I'm gonna have to add questions about the damn title to the end review questions that we do.
Does it fit?
So, I want to. Do you like it in the movies when they do this at the end or at the beginning? Do you get
Just
surprised?
whenever.
Just whenever.
Whenever
So
it fits well,
Okay.
and it fit well right then and there. Not that I was going to be thinking the entire movie, why is this called the Green Mile? But at one point I did wonder why this is going to be called the Green Mile. I'm thinking farmlands for a mile, green fields. That's what I pictured. So they answered my question right away, so I didn't have to think about it.
I'm thinking about Arnold Schwarzenegger going, "I am Terminator 2, Judgment Day."
Perfect, Yes! They said it! That's exactly what I needed. All right, so then you got that guy yelling, dead man walking,
Percy.
and just wouldn't stop saying that. But I do get those references and spoofs now that are everywhere about that. Okay. So I said, I'm pretty sure I know what's happening here. John Coffey, I had a feeling he was accused of murdering those 2 girls, and I bet he didn't do it. Not even 30 seconds later, I'm saying, wait, never mind. John just said, I couldn't help it, boss. I tried to take it back, but it was too late. So at this point, I think John is guilty. And I think, we get to meet him, and he is just not the brightest bulb, so...
He's simple.
Yes. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, he accidentally killed these 2 girls. That is a bummer. I bet you we're gonna fall in love with him and everything, and this is just gonna be really sad. I'm already bracing for that. The scene though, when John Coffey is screaming and there's the blood on the girls and everything, and the dad comes up and punches him in the face. So emotional, so intense.
Yeah.
It's
a hell of a way to start a movie.
It was, and there was just so much going on in that scene, and it just, I don't know, it left me just speechless at that point. Oh my gosh, maybe he really is a little bit of a monster. He just didn't mean to be for whatever reason. So the movie's got cute little, side stories that all tie together. So you got the mouse that's running around in in the jailhouse.
In the cell block, yeah.
Yeah, and everybody's kind of getting outsmarted by this mouse that, is going under this padded cell door and all of that. It was really cute, and it's got like some cute music behind it and all that. A nice little distraction in the middle of the movie. Of course, the mouse ends up being a bigger part of the movie. They do that really well, how they, again, tie all the little stories together.
Yeah, the mouse is basically the comic relief for a little bit, and then, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, all right, so, again...
And spoiler alerts, by the way. We shouldn't have to tell you, I think, because, they're old movies and we've all seen them and such, but if you haven't seen these movies ever...
Don't listen to the review first.
You should give them a watch before you jump into Naomi's review.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's, instead of trying to tiptoe around things, we're just going to blow right into the spoilers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because I assume that as I'm explaining this, that everybody has already seen this. Sometimes I try to over-explain the plot line a little bit so you know what part of the movie I'm talking about, especially if it's been a while since you've seen The Green Mile. That way you know where the story is going, but you've already been there. Yeah. Okay, so now it's, again, we're back on death row, and they're kind of doing a practice run before someone dies. So, they've got the guy basically explaining, okay, I'm stepping forward, I'm walking down the hallway, we're walking, I'm doing a prayer here, whatever, and then, actually sit down in the electric chair and start going through the steps.
So stupid. I'm trying not to laugh just thinking about him.
But, that's what he's doing. So, I've seen enough other shows, movies, and everything to know what's going to happen here, the way everything is lined up. At some point in this movie, that sponge is not going to be wet, or the sponge itself is not going to be placed on somebody's head. That part of the steps are going to be skipped, and it's going to be disgusting, and something bad.
They do a pretty good job of foreshadowing that, with all the spillage of the water on purpose and those scenes, and making sure you see all the wetness there.
Yeah. So I knew it was happening, and then I had left a note as this, again, they're practicing this. I said, I have a feeling it's John Coffey that this is going to happen to.
Oh, okay.
So then I'm a little confused in the movie because they have set up all these chairs to watch someone get electrocuted and die. And my whole thing is, why would you ever come to see that?
The morbidity of humans, I guess. Yeah, people have been watching lynchings and public hangings and execution. Think of the guillotine and all of that stuff for centuries. I don't know.
There were so many chairs,
And it still happens now in states where they do
the lethal injection and stuff.
There has to be witnesses legally.
I get that you need to have witnesses there, but you don't need a room full of people.
Yeah,
That's
spectators,
just weird.
Witnesses and spectators. There's a lot.
There's a big fat line there. That's not a thin line. That's a big fat line. But anyway, so I was really turned off to that. No way do I want to see that happen.
They set you right in the right mood of, this is grim.
Yeah. So my
Stephen King, by the way,
Oh, yeah, I knew. Yeah. Speaking of that, and I don't know who I was talking to about this. I believe it was Amanda that you work with. I believe it was her telling me that The Green Mile was like a 45-page side book, not an actual
a bunch of his stuff.
The Stand or anything huge like that.
Ironically, some of his better. The Shawshank Redemption was a short story, in a part of a collection as well.
That's crazy.
So was The Running Man, and there's at least one more that the better ones of his movies were adapted from his shorter stories.
But a 45-page story, you turn that into 3 hours? That's insane. But it was well done, so I really can't complain. So anyways, my next note says, man, that Percy guy is messed up.
Yeah, he is.
I think he likes to hurt people and make their lives worse, and he likes to watch people suffer,
It's
which
a hell
is
of a
true.
character. Sociopathic.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I got to give credit to that person who played him because, man, I hated him. I legit hated him. I get that these people are on death row and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know. He made me so mad.
No humanity.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so where are we now? I knew John Coffey when he was saying, be careful, when Billy was faking his crazy doped upness. So, okay, they got Billy. I don't know what his last name was.
Yeah, it don't matter. Billy the Kid.
Yeah.
You know who we're talking about.
Yeah, so they go in to pick him up from...
Sam Rockwell. Amazing performance from Sam Rockwell, by the way.
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
He does a lot of those arty, hardcore performances, too, so.
That was intense, too. So anyways, I knew something was up, okay? So they get him from the mental hospital and all that. He's got drool coming down his face. So, like, I legit thought he was doped up and crazy and all of that kind of stuff, and they had to dress him, and they get him to death row and all that, and John Coffey was saying, be careful, and all of a sudden it was like it clicked. I was like, oh man, that guy's faking it. Oh man, something's gonna happen. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. He tried to escape and try to kill the guards and turn that all into this huge ruckus and all of that. But it was that cool thing that we haven't heard a lot from John. He just kind of hangs out in his cell. He doesn't do anything. And then of course he had been calling over Tom Hanks, saying, come over here. I need to tell you something, or I need to speak with you, or whatever he kept saying. And finally, takes it long enough for Tom to go over there.
Yeah, it was right after he passed out and was on face down on the
floor,
floor, right?
yeah.
Where he's like, now's not a good time, John Coffey.
Well, see, John called him over before all the ruckus with Billy.
Yeah.
And then Billy kicks Paul in his family jewels area, and Paul is on the ground and just out for the count. And he's like, his lips are like touching the floor. Just, he's in some serious pain. And then John is calling for him again, that he needs to speak with him, kind of thing. And like you said, Paul's like, now is not a good time. Finally, musters up the strength to get up and go over to John, and John grabs him, and of course it's the shock of like, oh my gosh, this guy's gonna kill me right now. But instead, John heals him, and it's this crazy like, what the hell just happened? The flies or bugs or whatever that is.
What do you think that is? Because like part of the time it looks like flies, and other times it looks like like embers almost. The way that they fizzle out at the end.
I feel like they're flies though. Like I feel like they're like bugs. Like I don't know.
Sure.
And then they just like poof at the end. I don't know. Magical flies, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I have no idea. What you want to call them, but dig it.
It is a little weird, but
Yeah.
Huh, whatever.
I would go with flies too, because that's what
The evil, the badness, little demon flies.
What were your thoughts right around there, where he was grabbing him and all of that? Did you think he was going to do something good to him, or were you?
I did think something good was going to happen. I didn't know that this was a healing thing. Like I did not know he was going to heal him of this problem, but I just thought like, no, there's something that there's some goodness in John. Like he is not going to be here trying to kill Paul or mangle him or anything like that. So like I knew there was something good there. Had no idea that he was going to completely cure that Paul's issue and all that, and make Paul and his wife very, very happy, and they get to have fun, all that. Luke made a great comment during the movie too, while they were having their fun. Luke had mentioned that this is how a sex scene should be done. You hear a little bit of noises, and you see the outside of the window. That's it. You don't need any more than that.
Yeah.
That really does show that, hey, that's what happened. We all know, compared to two people, pretending to bang each other. Nobody needs to see that. We know what's happening.
Yeah.
I get it. Sometimes the little, like, especially in like rom-coms and all that, where they're trying to make it more sensual and all that.
Who the hell wants to be? I don't want to be. I wouldn't be there if it was real life. I don't want to be there now.
Right.
Just,
right.
Close the door and walk into the bedroom. I get the freaking idea.
Yes, absolutely. Which is true. And Luke said that. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Because there's always something about that. Even if you're watching one of those scenes with somebody that you really love and care about, it's still like, are they done yet?
Well,
weird.
Thank God for Tom Hanks for keeping it real,
That's right.
Keeping it classy, Tom.
All right, so they had that wonderful scene. We know everybody's happy.
4 times.
That's right, 4 times. I like that the missus made cornbread for John. And then John was like so nice about this. He gave some of the cornbread to
Ned.
Dale, Edward. What
Ned.
is it?
They call him Ned.
They called him Ned. Okay.
I'm pretty
the
sure it was
New
Ned.
Orleans guy.
Yeah, love that Cajun.
Yeah. And Mr. Jingles, the mouse that had run around and fooled everyone earlier, became, the New Orleans guy's best friend. It's a circus mouse now because it does tricks and all that. So he got some cornbread as well. And then, Billy screaming about wanting some cornbread too. And John decided, he's going to keep those last 2 pieces for himself. So good on John on
Makes
that.
more sense later too, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So that Billy guy, is really crazy. At this point, he ends up spitting in Paul's face, and it's disgusting. Like, they didn't even just do something fake or whatever. And then he peed on the other guy, and then he, bought that moon pie and, like, squished. Oh, gosh. He is just a mess of a guy, man.
Yeah, he is.
My next note was talking about how Percy really sucks again. It was just, the New Orleans guy, he's happy with the mouse and all that, and Percy's like, oh, we're happy for you, and kind of scaring him, and just, you could tell he wasn't being honest about it.
Yeah.
It was just so fake and just...
way over the top.
Yeah. And then he scares the guy and makes him fall and hit his head. And he's just like, oh, man, I was just playing. And it's like, dude, like, I would have such a hard time not punching him in the face.
Yeah.
Like, he is just such a mean person. Percy is a
Nailed
mean
it.
person.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, of course, Billy grabs him after all this is going on and scares him and makes him pee himself. And, he kind of got what he deserved.
That's right.
There,
Couple of times.
And then my next note is just no with a bunch of explanation points because that's when Percy killed the mouse because he's a jerk.
Yeah.
He's such a jerk. He did not need to do that. There was no reason for it. He stomped on that little mouse, and the poor New Orleans guy, he's about to die. He's on death row. He just wants his mouse to go to Mouseville in Florida. I get that everybody was lying to him and all this stuff, and he just, bam, steps on the dang thing and just doesn't care.
How long it was going to take before you mentioned Mouseville.
I loved Mouseville. That was like the cutest little thing.
Fantastic.
Like, just give someone a little bit of hope. Like, whether he knew you were lying or not, just enjoy that little moment. You don't have to be that cruel. I get that person has done some wrong and, they are on death row for it. But that doesn't mean you have to be cruel. Unless, we're talking about Billy, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
I mean, he can deserve all that cruelty and all that, and he should have got more of that from Percy instead of everybody else getting it. They could have battled it out. Percy and Billy. There you go. You guys can both make each other miserable. Okay, so now let's see.
Did you lose your spot?
Yeah, I'm going back through mine. I have a lot of notes for this movie. And I tried to slim them down because I know sometimes I'll get really focused on details that I don't need to get focused on.
So you said, I think the last one you read was when Percy stepped on the mouse. That's about where we were at.
Oh, yeah, and then John saves it because he can heal things. My note says, aw, John Coffey saves it because he can heal things. And I'm like, saves what? Oh, yeah, he saves the mouse. Duh. So then my thought process is he probably found those 2 girls and tried to save them, but it was too late. I really didn't think he's going to hurt anyone. He seems like a good person and was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's kind of where my thought process is going at this point.
No, I think it was right around that time where they said something about him, what'd you do or whatever, and he says, I took it back. Unless he said it right after he healed, like the next day after Paul gives him the cornbread. But he refers to whatever he did was, I took it back.
Yeah.
And that's,
kind of leaning in towards when he was found holding the girls going, I couldn't take it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that just kind of a little heartbreaking there, thinking about that. But yeah, so I feel like he's just good person, wrong place, wrong time,
Yep.
all that. All right, we get to the next scene. I knew Percy wasn't going to wet the sponge. This is the disgusting scene where they electrocute the guy from New Orleans. It was awful. It's just a disgusting scene. Like, even for not being there, I know I couldn't smell it or anything like that, but the people's reactions, the fact that he's smoking, it's just absolutely disgusting. And then the fact of Paul going, you can't shut it off because he's still alive.
Yeah.
So this is just going to drag this out even worse. He's just going to have to suffer until it's over. Like, that's awful. And that's enough right there. Like, Percy should have been locked up in a cell, on his own anyways.
For real.
To be killed like that, even if, you are on death row. That just, oh my gosh, Percy. Oh, Percy. Gosh. Okay.
I mean, I can't argue with you, yes. But it's just, again, welcome to the Green Mile.
Yeah. So they visit Melinda, the warden's wife, who's been sick. I knew they were going to see if John could do anything. You can definitely see that coming, but I loved the way it all had played out. I'm glad they decided to give it a try, even though they are risking their jobs and prison time and all of that kind of stuff. I mentioned, though, I didn't think it was going to work. I had a feeling like what probably happened with the two girls, that it was just going to be too late. I mean, she's got a brain tumor. She's not herself anymore. This is going to be too big of a case for him to handle it.
So I love in the scene when he's recruiting. Have you gotten there yet, or are we moving past that scene where he brings the other prison guards to his house to have dinner to talk about going and helping her?
Oh, yeah, that's the same thing. Yeah.
And where they're all just kind of pleasantries, and he just starts it. You saw him do it, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
He doesn't ease it at all. He just dives right in head
Which
first.
is probably the best way to handle a situation like this.
Absolutely. Rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah. So I again, glad they decided to go through with this. Again, wasn't sure if it was going to work or not. My next note said, well, I guess it does work. But then I was confused and I was like, why didn't he spit out those bugs or anything like that? Why did he hold on to her tumor? And I thought maybe he's keeping it for himself and he's just, gonna die a sad death because of this.
Die before the chair? Did you think that was going to happen or something?
I didn't know he was going to the chair.
Oh, that's death row. Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know if he was going to die before he ended up on the chair.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't know that is a scene in the movie. So yeah, I didn't know if he was trying to kill himself before he ended up in the chair. I had no idea what his plan was and why he didn't get rid of these bugs. And the only thing I could think of is I feel like when he lets out the bugs, they gotta go somewhere. So he held on to it because he didn't want them to go in the air and somebody else to get this tumor, basically.
Good thought.
The craziest part too, Melinda had said that she had dreamed of him, that they were both lost in the dark and they found each other. And so then I was like, oh, what if that happened with the two little girls? Because I'm still waiting to see the full story of what's going on there. Maybe they all dreamed of each other. That's where he found them and tried to help them, but it happened to be too late.
Maybe.
Because every time, people were asking him about, his scars or where he's from and stuff, he had no idea. He didn't know his own story. So I thought maybe that's what happened there. Next note says, didn't see that coming. Now I know why he was holding on to those bugs, because he gave them to Percy. He gave Percy that evil. That's what I feel like those bugs were. They're just concentrated evil.
Yeah, concentrated. Good word. I like that. Yeah, concentrated evil, pretty much.
So he gave it to Percy, who definitely just deserved it,
Who they do a good job of making you okay, yeah, that character definitely deserved that. That is okay, yeah.
Because if he did it to anyone else, you would have just been like, no, you can't. He wasn't that bad.
Well, they had just taken him out of the closet that they had trapped him in forever.
Yes.
And they were telling, you're going to listen to us, and we're going to make you a deal. And before they even start talking, he just starts hollering at him to get me out, and all that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you just know. He's
Like, he's
not
just
gonna...
terrible, and this can't end good for him.
Yeah.
And thank God it didn't. So, yeah. Percy gets these bugs, starts acting all weird, turns to Billy and just shoots him. And, they all got what they deserved, except for, John Coffey, who didn't deserve all this pain and evilness, and then we get to that scene, that I'm tired, boss, in that whole speech. I'm going to back up a little bit from that, because I never mentioned the time, and I was probably so engrossed in the movie, when they're taking John out to take him to Melinda, to see if he can cure her and all that, and Billy grabs his arm, and John sees the evil of Billy. So, of course, you're glad that Percy ends up with the demon bugs and shoots Billy, because he deserves it, because it was Billy who killed those two girls. And then, like, just the way they do it, the scene where they skipped all the details, you see them, like, passing the tray of, like, cornbread from one girl to the other, and then you don't see who gets passed to next.
Yeah.
And then, they kind of make it all play out where Billy is painting the barn for them or whatever.
Yeah, hired help. It's the depression.
Yeah. And they call him in for dinner, and he's right there, and they, pass the cornbread to him. And it's just a sinking feeling. You're like, that... Oh, man, I want to curse so bad. And I know this is a podcast, and I could, but I got really, really involved in this movie. I did. But yeah, so anyways, with all that happening, of course, Percy shooting him, you're like, yeah, good, be gone. But also, nobody knows that John Coffey is innocent.
Right.
And that sucks, And then his whole thing, I'm tired, boss, and that whole speech, and... I've seen the memes that go around that just show his face and says, I'm tired, boss, and, about people being ugly to each other. And I got really kind of bummed out after that, because I'm like, yeah, because we are really mean to each other, and this sucks, and that doesn't change, and all of that.
That is the scene that specifically that Brian shared on, a different Brian, Big B, shared on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
For our topic earlier.
Yeah.
That specific scene, yeah.
It is really sad, and it's sad to hear him say that kind of stuff, and just the emotion he delivers it with, where you actually feel that he has felt all this sadness, and he's so tired from it all, and knows, like, hey, you need to let me die, because I can't keep doing this. So, they were asking him, what do you want? And then he's talking about wanting the meatloaf, and maybe some cornbread from the missus, if she don't mind, kind of thing. And it's just so sweet and, heartbreaking at the same time. And then they take him to the movies, and he gets to see the movie from the beginning of The Green Mile that, the older version of Paul is watching when he loses it right in the beginning and is bawling his eyes out. And I love when movies do full circle like that. It's just great.
That is it is a lot of fun when movies do that, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Some great writing, some amazing acting throughout the entire movie. Like, I got so involved with these characters. Like I legit hated Percy. Like, him and Billy are just the worst people ever. And the poor New Orleans guy knows he made some mistakes and knows he has to die because of them, but this is just it. He didn't deserve to have his fingers broken in the beginning of the movie by Percy, who just smashed into him because he's a jerk. You felt so much for these people. And of course, the worst thing at the end where, John's getting led up to the electric chair. He knows that everyone in the room hates him and all of that. And it's just, it's just such a bummer because, again, we all know he is innocent now, but it's like, it's not going to do any good to even try to fight this situation. And also, John's ready to go. Yeah. So it needs to be done. And of course,
the hopelessness really sets in.
Yes. And everybody, all the prison guards are kind of losing it and tearing up. And Paul's like, wipe your face before you stand up, because it can't be seen that you're all so brokenhearted over this.
Yeah.
But again, the worst part where just, don't pull that black mask down because he's afraid of the dark. Like, oh my gosh, like that rips out your heart.
Absolutely.
It really does.
It's hard. It's hard to even think about. I mean,
It is.
We just watched it yesterday, so that's still so fresh. Michael Clark Duncan.
Yes.
Just one of the performances for the ages. One of the reasons people like that movie so much is because of Michael Clark Duncan. We lost him way too early.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes. I mean, he's fantastic in pretty much
He did a phenomenal job.
But yeah, one of the big, everybody loves, I mean,
he's just so believable in the movie.
You don't
he
talk
does it
about
so well.
The Green Mile without talking about Michael Clark Duncan and how just amazing he was.
Yeah. So that, of course, he dies, and, we go back to the beginning part of the movie where, the older version of Paul is talking with that lady and has, filled her in on this whole story and everything, and then
you don't believe me, do you? She's like, well, I've never known you to lie to me.
Yeah, but this is very crazy, and then takes him to see the mouse.
Yeah.
And the mouse is still alive.
Old and gray.
Yeah, the circus mouse that still can do his little tricks,
Mr.
but
Jangles.
not very well. Yeah. And then him explaining, that whatever that magic was, whatever it was, some of it must have got to him, and he knows that he's going to watch many other people pass away and all that, and he's going to be here at least for a little while. So then I go back to thinking the first comment I made about, hey, that guy's real mobile. I wish I can run up hills when I'm his age and all this stuff. And I'm like, did they do that on purpose? Because they did that very well.
Absolutely.
So that is my my thoughts, my feelings, all that on The Green Mile. It was long, just like the movie, but a lot of stuff happens in that movie, so a lot to cover.
Absolutely, and well done, too, I think. So thank you again. Like I said, I'm going to start. Thank you for watching The Green Mile for us.
I appreciate it, but I don't feel like I need to be thanked for it,
All right.
I get a lot out of this.
Are you ready for your questions?
Yes, absolutely.
Did you like The Green Mile?
I loved it.
All right, fantastic. What did you know about The Green Mile going in?
Not a whole lot. I knew it was a Stephen King thing, movie, book. Didn't know it was a short story. Just assumed it was a regular, 800-page Stephen King book.
A lot of people do, because it's a long movie, so
yes,
you think,
you put the two and two together.
I mean, Shawshank's not definitely not as long as The Green Mile, but it is a little bit long. But, I mean, that came from a short story, too.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. So I didn't really know a lot about it. I actually didn't even know that Tom Hanks was in it.
Really?
So that was a surprise when I saw him and was like, oh, okay. All right, he's in this movie.
You didn't know that we were about to sit down and watch a Tom Hanks movie?
No, I had no idea.
I've got to say that there was a small part of me that sort of thought, I almost was like, Tom Hanks is in this? And then I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to let it roll.
Yeah, no, I had no idea.
Okay.
I knew a little bit.
I love that.
Not that I had seen, like, the bugs flying out of the mouth, but I knew that had something to do with this movie at some point. I had no idea how it was connected or anything.
Okay.
But bugs out of a mouth was going to happen somewhere in this movie. And that's about it. And knowing that it was a long movie. I, again, had no idea. I think I had a feeling that part of it was set prison-wise, but I did not know we were talking death row here and all of that kind of stuff.
Speaking of long movies, did you watch a lot of long movies before we started doing this? Like, were you inclined to watch a lot of longer movies? What do you think is the longest movie you remember before we started doing these? Titanic.
Yeah, that's like 3 hours too, ain't
and
it?
That's the one that comes up, and probably if you had to think about it, the Marvel movies and stuff like this. So you never really sat through, the Green Miles and Casinos and stuff like that.
No, absolutely not.
Well,
Anytime I see a movie that's like over 2 hours long, it's like, how much longer over 2 hours are we talking about here?
That's kind of exactly why I was at, because you're going to be in for a bit of a treat with these movies, because there's a reason that they're so famous and popular, and after 3 hours, you're going to be like, wow, that was great.
Well, that's the thing, and I go back to that again. This movie is 3 hours long, or just over 3 hours, or whatever, but did not feel like it. we've watched other movies that were shorter, and I'm like, it's got to be getting close to the end, right?
For sure.
Where is the climax of this movie?
So, so that, I mean, that's great. So, thoughts going into the movie,
not well.
other than the length.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long movie. It's gonna be dramatic. I already know there's gonna be some sad parts in this movie. I'm bracing for it and all that kind of stuff. Definitely did not realize how sad it was gonna be and like how much I was going to get lost in these characters and legit feel for them. It was crazy.
Well, that's a good segue into what surprised you about the Green Mile.
That exactly. Like again, all the little stories where you don't think it's the scene when they first meet the mouse, where it's running around and it's got the crazy music behind it and it goes into the padded room and they're taking everything out of that padded room and it's just so goofy and I'm like, what the hell does this have to do with anything? And then it becomes like, hey, it becomes a key character, and just small things that kept coming back and it was like, hey, this ties to this. And there's a lot of foreshadowing throughout the movie and just the way it all ties together was just so well done.
All right, so I think I know the answer to this one. And if you are new to the reviews, Luke and Naomi's Under a Rock reviews, we have these review questions that we ask after every movie. Would you have liked it more or less if you saw it when you were younger? Now, I like to try to sort of qualify with different movies. Like with I think with Terminator or Wayne's World, I asked you if you were if you watched this when you're like 13 or 14. So instead of doing that, let's say 19 or 20.
No, I don't think I'd appreciate it as much.
Okay.
I think I probably wouldn't have got so involved with the characters. I think it would be more of just like, oh yeah, that guy's mean. Oh, that's cool. That's kind of weird. I feel like I'd have more like a teenager kind of attitude towards the movie. And, again, I don't think I'd connect as much, so I probably wouldn't want to watch the whole thing. So I definitely think I appreciate it now and probably would have within the last, 7 years. Anything before that, no.
All right. It's just a nice little window into how you've never seen some of the most famous movies.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad I didn't see this one when I was younger. I would hate to have been one of those people who are like, oh, that movie sucks. And then to finally rewatch it and go, what the hell was the matter with me? Now I can just, yell ignorance the whole time. I didn't know. I never watched it.
There is a movie or two that I mean, my favorite movie of all time, Pulp Fiction.
Uh-huh.
The first time I watched it, I was like, I have no idea what's going on. I was 15 when I watched it. I had no clue. I watched it again like a year or so later and was like, oh, this is rad.
Yep.
Yeah, so I get it. Let's see here. Your favorite part of the Green Mile?
Favorite part? Well, I like the fact that I was wrong that he was able to help Melinda. That was cool. When I thought that he was going to try to help her tumor and all that stuff, but not be able to, and the fact that he was able to. I was glad when Percy got what he deserved, and same with Billy. I'm glad that ended that way.
And kind of one fell swoop, too,
Yeah, absolutely. Get rid of them both. We're done with them. I loved the relationship between the New Orleans guy and Mr. Jingles. It was just adorable. It was a cute little thing.
A man
there.
and his pet,
Yeah. There were a lot of little pieces to this movie that I liked. And again, all around how everything ended up tying together and just it was a great movie.
All right, your least favorite part?
Oh, I hate anything Percy did.
That's a good, easy go-to, I'm sure, yeah.
The whole sponge thing, we knew, again, I didn't know if it was just, I'm not going to wet the sponge, or I'm just not even going to put the sponge on there and just pretend like it fell off or whatever. I knew he was just going to be such a...
So Percy's your least favorite part?
Yeah, that and when Billy grabs John Coffey's arm.
And he has to feel the evil and all of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just whatever he said afterwards, you're an evil man or something like that. And you almost hear the scaredness in John's voice. And it's just gut wrenching. Yuck. That I think is the least favorite because you know what Billy did to those girls.
Okay.
And
definitely that definitely stuck with you because that was
Oh yeah, I
that was
did
quick
not
and
like
easy.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
quick and easy answer for you. Would you recommend it to someone else who hasn't seen it?
Absolutely. I think everyone should see this movie.
Aw, that's great.
Yeah.
Would you watch it again?
Absolutely.
Would you stop and watch it if it's on television?
Depends on what I'm doing, but most likely.
Most likely?
Yes. If I'm getting ready to go somewhere, probably not, because I'm not crying and, all
This
that.
is one of those where it's like it's on at Sunday night, but it started at 9 o'clock, and you're like, damn, I'm not gonna be able to see this all the way to the end, but I'll watch it a little bit when I'm getting ready for bed.
And then you probably end up staying up and
Yes,
watching
yes,
the rest of it,
that's
because
one of
how are
those.
you going to shut it off?
That is absolutely one
Yes.
of those.
One
yeah.
of my favorites that we have watched so far.
It's
Definitely up there.
Up there on the list for you.
Oh,
then.
yeah.
All
Yep.
right. All right. And the final question for our review questions for you. I think we know the answer. Are you happy you watched The Green Mile?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, great. I am happy you watched The Green Mile as well, because now you can share in everybody's sadness with all the movie suggestions and how easy that is for everybody to go to with The Green Mile, man. That because I mean it
just
is
so well done.
It is super emotional, and it's definitely
It's such a great movie.
It's definitely one that can make you cry just every single. Not even like no, it caught me at the right time where I didn't know, because it's just so emotional. And so it's a good answer by Big B, definitely for sure. And I'm glad that you enjoyed it. That's cool.
I'm really glad that I got to see it. I'm honestly glad that it has taken us a couple weeks to watch it. That whole pleasure delayer and all of that. But yeah, this is one that that hit hard. That stuck with me. We got done watching the movie and I couldn't stop thinking about it. I've been thinking about it at work today. You
definitely know you like a movie, or it at least resonated with you if
it's
you
going to
get
live
thinking
there
about it
for a
like that.
while. Yeah.
Which is great. And another reason that we like to do these, and separate the watching from the review and give you a little bit to kind of marinate on it and all of that stuff too. So, all right, fantastic. That was Luke and Naomi's Under a Rock review of The Green Mile. Not sure, of course, what we're going to do next week.
How do we go from there?
Yeah, where do we go from there? Maybe, do we try to follow it up with another big drama or something like that, or do we go back to some comedies? We'll figure it out, though. We do have a list, and we will always take suggestions. We are looking for the movies that pretty much everybody's seen, and you know what we mean when everybody's seen it.
The ones that are quoted by everyone, the ones that are spoofs on every TV show, Family Guy, The Simpsons, Futurama, all that stuff are making jokes about these specific movies. Those are the movies we're looking for.
Because chances are, if it's been spoofed a bajillion times, Naomi just hasn't seen it.
That's right.
So
I've seen this from another TV show. It must be from a movie. Okay, makes sense. All right, so we'll see what happens next week. All right, I think it's time for Thought of the Day.
Thought of the day, thought of the day, it's your thought of the day, thought of the day. I'm going to have to stop and explain eventually, because I'm really hoping for some new listeners. This is something we've been doing for a long, long time. I don't even know how it started or why, but I just sing Thought of the Day.
I think you should just leave it a mystery the way it is. The fact that you always sing that, and people can be like, why does he sing that? And just because. Because.
It just gives you all the more reason to find us on Facebook, Luke and Naomi on air, and ask us all the questions and leave your movie suggestions and answer our goofy questions of the week.
That's right. That's how you communicate with us.
Fantastic.
We don't have the phone lines anymore, but Facebook is open.
That's right.
We got you.
24/7.
All right. People put their clean clothes in the same basket they transported them in when they were dirty.
I guess that's never really occurred to me.
Me either. Not gonna lie, until I read that and went, huh.
Wow, that really messed me up a little bit.
All right, Luke, you gonna leave us with a laugh?
I'm gonna do my best. We've got our book of dad jokes, of course, from Brian from England, the 100 greatest dad jokes of all time. We're on our second book of jokes from Brian, by the way. I'd just like to mention
Which
that.
is awesome. Thank you, Brian.
Absolutely. Let's see here. Why are spiders so smart?
I don't know.
Because they find everything on the web.
That's stupid. Come on.
What did the grape say when it was crushed?
I don't know.
Nothing. It just let out a little wine.
I do kind of like that one.
Did you hear about the circus fire?
No.
It was intense.
Oh, come on. That was not funny.
I had a really, really good joke to tell you about one-ply toilet paper, but it's super terrible.
I cannot believe you. That's awful. super terrible.
I love the dad jokes.
Oh, man. Those are awful. Those are so bad.
Those were good.
Bad.
I mean, not as good as last week's, but you can go back and listen to last week's if you want to catch that one, because that was epic. And I absolutely loved it.
It was not.
Absolutely loved it.
No, they never are epic. There is no such thing as an epic dad joke.
I don't know, man.
That's an oxymoron.
Last week that's pretty close.
No.
Pretty close for
It's not.
sure. All right, we got to wrap up episode 36. Thank you so much for spending another hour with us yet again.
36.
Don't
That's
forget,
insane.
tell all your friends if they love movies. Nothing like watching a movie through somebody's eyes who has never watched it until 2023.
That's right.
So come along and join us. Find us anywhere you get your podcasts: Google, Apple, Spotify, Amazon.
YouTube.
Well, eventually. Up until a point. I still haven't
You
gotten
watch
to that.
some of them on YouTube.
And we've got another food review too. We're going to be doing with what the hell are they called? The boxes that you get, Universal Yums.
Oh yeah.
We got
That's
another
next
one
week.
of those come up. That's what stopped me from the YouTube. Anyway, that's another story entirely.
You can watch a few videos back, and
Yeah.
that'll tell you what happened with the Universal Yums box.
We got stuff on YouTube. You should check it out if you haven't. That's the point. Find us anywhere, Luke and Naomi on air. Thank you so
TikTok
much.
as well.
Of course, that's right, for spending the time with us again this week. Have some fun and be excellent to each other.
Love you. Bye.